welcome back to another book-related video here on my channel. Long time no see. I have definitely not been in the mood to read, which is very sad. I have to say, life right now for us has been very crazy. We are very busy, and literally very soon we are getting ready to put our house on the market and move very quickly. So I feel like that's factored into the fact that I don't really feel like reading. I feel like we've just been so busy, and when we have free time, I just have spent it playing games, or right now I've been doing other things as well in my free time instead of reading. And I guess I could take that back. I have read about 200 pages, 2 books. Technically, I think it's like the 3rd book in publication order, but in chronological, it's the 1st book and then also the 2nd book of Narnia. And I'm actually on the 3rd book. I just finished it last night, the 2nd book. I'm on the 3rd one, The Horse and the Boy. And these have only been, I think the last book was like 80 pages in my copy, and then the original book was 100, give or take. So they're not too long. I've only read about, like I said, 200 pages because I had to put down The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I like that book, but I just was not reading that book. I've read, I think, 70, give or take, pages of that. I picked this book up, read about 200, and technically, since they are books, I just have all 7 books combined into one. I'm gonna stop on book 2, well, the beginning of book 3, and I just kind of want to mood read a little bit, and I wanted to do this 24-hour reading challenge. More so, if you know how I do my 24-hour reading challenge, it's definitely not in a day. I have a 2-year-old, almost 3-year-old. I have to be a parent, and so I'm not going to try and stay up all night long, and also because I don't know if that would put me in a worse, pretty much slump. But I have 4 books here that I originally, 2 of them I wanted to make into a kind of like reading this genre in a week video, and then I wasn't sure. I definitely wanted a 3rd book, and I ended up finding 2 more on my bookcase that I haven't read yet that are still in the same genre. And instead, we do have just over a week left. We have about a week and a couple days left of December, so I technically could be reading in a week, but just in case if we go past a week, I don't want to basically be dishonest and say I read all these in a week. I feel like doing it in a 24-hour where I read and then I stop a timer and then I continue going the next time I read. I feel like that's a little bit more truthful and a little bit better. I want to show you the 4 books that I chose for this genre, and also these are not in order. I have no clue which one I'm honestly going to read. I had to still figure that out, sadly. First, we have The Woman Outside My Door. I picked this up. It is a thriller. That is the genre that I'm going to be trying to read. And pretty much, I think this is only about a mother's child. I don't remember if it's a daughter or not. And she has an imaginary friend at the park. And then the mother is questioning, is this actually an imaginary friend or is this real? And I assume it kind of takes a turn, maybe kidnapping potentially or something like that. Or maybe it's a ghost. I don't know. I've seen this. I like the cover, and also it just looked very intriguing. And when I read the back of it, it just also seemed like a good plot point. So this is one of my options. Then we have Lucy Foley's The Guest List. I have heard and seen so many people read this book, and I found it at a thrift store as well, and I was like, let me go ahead and pick up one of her books. I've never read a book from her, and also this is the very first and only one I do have of hers. Next we have The Girl on the Train. I collected this book and also all of the, besides the very last one that just came out, which is like something with the Talon, all of the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series, and I've had them sitting on my shelf for at least 6 months, maybe a little bit more. I thought originally that they went together, and then I realized after I collected the first one and like half of the series with the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, I realized they are completely different authors and they don't go together. And this is also a thriller, and a lot of people I've seen said that when they were a child or like middle school, high school, they read this and they enjoyed it and they were thinking about rereading it. So I'm kind of curious on if it's good, if it's not good, especially since I see it in thrift stores like left and right. You can find it in a hardcover paperback and like 3 to 5 copies in any given thrift store. So I kind of want to see if it's good or if it's bad, and that's why it's in the thrift store. Then apparently We Were Liars is I do believe it's called a psychological thriller. It is for some reason a thriller, and I wanted to pick this up because this has also been sitting on my shelf, but I do believe it's only been sitting there for a couple months. I wanted to pick this up and try and read this one as well because I know a lot of people, give or take a couple years ago, read this and then they read The Family of Liars, which I do believe is the prequel. I'm not 100% positive. I had this one as my 4th and final book to basically get a good selection of books to read for this video. I guess I now have to pick which one I want to read because I honestly have no clue which one I want to read. But at least that's my intro. I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. know you're very close. I have my 50 mil on, but I have the Canon 80D. It's a crop sensor. Future video, I might be getting a new camera here soon. I decided to pick up The Woman Outside My Door, and I'm using an eraser as my bookmark. But one thing I really appreciate, so I started this book, and here we have a blank page in chapter 1. The spacing on this book, like the spacing of the lines and the font size, it's not huge, but it's a lot bigger. And also the spacing is so nice because it's like very spaced out, so there's not many words on each page. And then this is not just chapter 2, but also is chapter 3. Let me just switch to chapter 3. A blank page, chapter 3. Honestly, this is probably one of the best books I decided to start with, just because it's got 271 pages in total, and if it's going to skip pages and have bigger font with spaced out lettering, I feel like it might help me read this book. It's just because I am in a slump. That sounds kind of stupid, but if you get it, you know. I'm a little bit more excited than I already was. We had a cat crawling up on our wall, and now we have this pigeon on our fence. Also, look at this stupid house. Hi, it's very dark and I changed my clothes, and also we are in the garage. Also my son's with us. My husband just left to go get some more parts for the dually, but I figured because I just got to chapter 9, it's 51 pages technically, I figured I'd go ahead and kind of do like my first hour update. I still have like a few minutes left till I reach an hour of reading. I just kind of want to say, first off, I mean, I'm very thankful for the spacing of this book, because I'm noticing, especially with like just being out and still doing stuff, I'm a little bit like scatterbrained, and I'll be reading a page and then I'll just kind of veer off. That's part of my slump, and I'm trying to get better about that. And so then I finally got to the point where it's picked up a little bit more. Definitely it starts right off with the mom, and it's actually her son. They go to a park, and instantly right off, I think it's like the very first chapter definitely, but page 1 or maybe 2, the son ends up finding somebody, talking to somebody in the bushes, and the mom instantly thinks, like, a gut feeling that he's being serious, and it's not just like imaginary, because her mom just passed away like 6 months ago. Now there's like little things going on, more so like he's getting random phone calls on their landline, and so he'll answer them and he'll be like, oh, hi Granny. New Granny is what he calls her, and he says because she doesn't have any kids or grandkids and he just lost his grandmother, he now accepted her as his new granny. That's cool. It's intriguing but not 100% engaging. That's my basically hour update of this book so far. Back inside, obviously, as you can tell. It's a little bit later because I kind of stopped. We ate some supper after finishing up on the dually. I just kind of came in and kind of picked up a little bit, but I know I still want to clean a little bit more. And I stopped on chapter 11, page 63. I might sit here and read just a little bit more, not too horribly much more, but just maybe a couple more chapters, and then I might like POV film that, but otherwise I'm not gonna actually film that. I just remembered that every single day I'm going to be trying to read the Bible in a whole year, and I'm on day 3. Genesis, Matthew, Ezra, and also Acts. So I'm in chapter 3 of all 4 of those, and that's what I do every single day. It usually takes me about an hour, give or take, an hour to hour and a half. I'm not going to count that as my time. I did kind of want to maybe insert a little clip as well with that, but otherwise I did kind of want to hop on here and just kind of ask a little bit of a question. I know a lot of people, if not you guys, came here because of vehicle videos. I have a lot of subscribers because of that, and then I also have a lot of subscribers because of my book videos, and especially here recently. And as well, like I said, I'm going to be making a video for basically like my plans for 2024, since so much is happening in our life. So one of the other things that I was thinking, especially since I've been in a slump for a while, and I feel like book content definitely I've been kind of slacking on, or at least like doing more sit down videos, not as much like actual reading. So one of the things I was kind of considering, because I did this once, I did a few months ago, reading the Bible for a week, or read scriptures with me, I do believe. I can't remember. It was like 5 or 7 days. And I did a video on that, and I also wanted to kind of make a video specifically up in the future when I kind of get to enjoy my Bible a little bit more and use it a little bit more. I wanted to kind of do a video over this brand new Bible I bought. Also because I have highlighters coming in the mail tomorrow. They come tomorrow, and I bought this Bible specifically so I can sit and write in it and highlight and not feel as bad about it. And also I've been trying, obviously, like I said, reading the Bible in a year, so I kind of considered touching base with my Bible journal, which is nothing special. If you've seen that, it's very much not special. Overall question with this was, would anybody be interested in any of the Christian aspect? Like more so the videos like reading the Bible with me for a week, or doing daily devotionals or daily scriptures for a week. Put any video ideas like that. If you have any that you would like, I mean, you can go ahead and like just tell me down in the comments, because I'm kind of confused on what all I should do. And there's a part of me that wants to do more of certain things. And even if maybe I'm like posting twice a week, like I have been for December, but maybe trying to do a little bit more, which that's also another thing I thought about within 2024, posting twice a week, because I might end up switching more of my content from not just book, but going back to photography. But I guess it also depends on how busy I am. That's been like one of the questions I had. I have a lot of questions going on in my head and a lot of trying to figure out what I'm going to be doing, because next year is just going to be so hectic for my husband and I, our whole family actually. I just wanted to hop in here real quick and ask about the Bible content, if anybody would be interested. Hello, we are on day 2 of this 24-hour reading challenge, and I don't know what you might think about this, but I'm actually kind of proud for the most part of what I did yesterday. I read a total of 2.5 hours just of The Woman Outside My Door. That's not including anything extra I did like the Bible study. And I actually stopped on page 125 last night, and then this morning I woke up at like 5 a.m. for whatever reason, and I continued reading until 206. So that's about an extra like 80 or so pages. I read another almost pretty much hour and a half as well, which was very exciting. So in total, I've read pretty much 4 hours. So we only have 20 hours left. But honestly, for me being in a slump, I feel like that's really good. And I'm starting to get into this book, I think. Definitely more into reading. Like I forgot what it was like to read, especially before bed. And then when you wake up, it's just a nice feeling. Also, sorry about my son. He opened up an early Christmas present because we bought like 5 at one given time. And so he's up there playing with his dually and the new trailer. And they come with hay bales and using his imagination right now. Apparently they're falling off the trailer and he's all upset. But otherwise he is fine. He's just playing. So sorry if you can hear him, which you probably can. But this book started off where I kind of felt like I was not that into it. And there are still moments where I'm like, you know, I have that feeling, and that might just be me in a slump. Do I really want to read this book? And then there's other moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even put this book down. This book starts off and this mother and her son are actually at a park, and she kind of loses him for a hot minute. He's like out in the woods a little bit of the surrounding park. And so she's calling for him, and then he comes in, and he basically found this new granny after her mother, or basically his grandmother, died. He accepts this new granny, and there's things about this book that isn't just based on this new granny and her son. It's also little things like there's past, I don't want to say like plots, but past mistakes or past things that happened with her husband or in between her husband and her. So you get to kind of find that. You also get to find when she first gave birth to Cody or her son, what kind of happened, and why also there might be potential problems with, like, I don't want to say like custody, but potential mental problems. You just get a lot of thrown punches left and right, because it's literally not just about this grandmother apparently, or this imaginary grandmother. It's so much drama as well on the back burner, and also it also plays into it. And right now I'm just to the point where basically her husband believes her about there is somebody potentially wanting to harm their son, or is definitely stalking in one way or another their family because of their son, and their son is lying to them and saying like, oh well, I just made up granny, you know, this is all just in my head, I was just playing around because I'm 7. And in reality he didn't make her up. It's like clues and evidence that they found, and they're starting to connect the dots, and the husband believes the wife now, which is great. So we cleared through all that drama, the past drama, and there was a lot that has went on. And then now we are to the point where she's over at her dad's house, and her dad ended up having a heart attack for some reason that I assume we're gonna find out later. I, as of right now, don't know why, but I have my assumptions. I'm trying to connect a neighbor, a photograph, and the father. I don't know if that's how it's going to be, but that's what I'm predicting right now in my head. Also, when he was in the hospital, the daughter, or the main character, she dropped off some things at the hospital for her father. One of them was a photo of him and his wife when they first got married, I do believe, and then the second one was him with a random girl who had like short black hair, and I think she she had classes. He woke up, he's seen something agitated him, and she thinks it's the photo, more specifically the one with the short hair. She doesn't know who that girl was, and she was hoping to ask him, but when she went to the hospital to check on him, he was still kind of sleeping. So she ended up leaving them there, and he woke up and he was so agitated that he actually checked himself out of the hospital, and he's missing. And for the first time, I think ever in her life, when she called him to check and to see if he wanted her to bring anything, he ended up flipping out on her and also saying, don't talk to me, pretty much, and how dare you bring those flip photos. Like, he was very hurt. And so I feel like there's a lot, well, obviously there is a lot more history and things that we are going to eventually learn. We basically only have, I think, 70 pages left of this book, so I'll definitely probably finish this today. So that's exciting. That's my little update for the day. I finished it, that's for sure. I'm not 100% sure what I want to rate it. I'm gonna kind of sit on it for a while. It did definitely pick up, and I felt like I was enjoying it. There was a part which was kind of explained at the end in the epilogue, that if you've read this book, you know about what happens with the pier and the ocean or the water. There's just a part of me that was like, this is unrealistic. On the back, there's a blurb from an author called Samantha M. Bailey. She apparently wrote Woman on the Edge. I've never heard of that or her. And she said, emotional, captivating, and suspenseful. This is a fantastic debut by an author to watch. So I guess this is her debut novel or thriller novel, which I feel like for a debut novel, it was pretty decent. I just don't know if it was definitely one of my favorite ones, but it definitely was not bad. I just thought I'd pop right in and basically say that I finished this book. Hi, hello, welcome to another day. I finished The Woman at My Door. I did go ahead that night and only read for about a half an hour, and we ended up picking up The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I only read 15 pages, give or take, of this, but I was getting to the point where I was so exhausted at the time. I read only an hour and a half yesterday. It wasn't very much. Let me just tell you that. It was only an hour and a half, but I read from page 15 to 90. So that was 75 pages right there, which is pretty good. Like, you're getting a little bit of backstory, you're meeting the characters a little bit, and it is a little slow. There are moments where I feel like it's kind of slow. So in total, we've read for 7 hours, so we only have 17 hours left. And more than most likely, this is going to be my last book of 2023, because I don't think I can start and finish another book because I've just been so messed up with sleep and, more than anything, so excited to pack up our house. So that's my small update for today. I want to see how much I can actually sit down and read. I'm going to try and dedicate today more so for reading. I'll have to see about that. Alright, welcome to a new angle of our living room with our Bear Entertainment Center, since we have already started to pack up. I finished The Guest List. I'm actually very proud of myself. I feel like this is one of the books that I have sat down for a long time, read a few pages, and I feel like I just got a lot accomplished. In total for today, we read already for 4.5 hours, and I read from page 90 all the way to the end, which was 313. That was 223 pages total. That's my 59th book read this year, which is so exciting. Soon I'm going to be doing my actual end of the year wrap up. I'm going to be starting on We Were Liars, but I do not believe I'm going to finish this book. Okay, so this is only a 250 page book. That's honestly not that long. It felt a lot thicker, like it was a give or take close to a 400 page, but it's only a 250 page book. We only have 2 days left of December. As of today, it's the 30th today. I'm not 100% positive I can finish this book today. I'm gonna try and keep reading. We have 12.5 hours left to read for the whole 20 24 hours. So I don't know how this is going to go. I'm still trying to hit my 60 book goal. So if I can finish this tomorrow, that would be amazing. If not, I feel like I've already accomplished so much because I've already finished 2 books, and in total of December, I finished technically 4 whole books. I'm gonna start on We Were Liars, and also I'm going to update my little book journal. This book, that whole ending, I was not expecting. I was very confused for majority of this book. Well, not so much confused, just not that much into it. I was very much feeling like 2 stars from the beginning part to the middle part, and it was one of these books that I just felt like I had to push myself almost to read. There was a part of me that I just felt the need to, for some reason, finish it. I think because I just didn't want to DNF it. Then when I got to the ending was like a 4-star, and it opened up my eyes. It explained a lot, and then I'm looking back at the rest of the book that I just didn't understand, the little bits and pieces that I overlooked, and I connected the dots, and there were so many things that clicked, puzzle pieces fit in, my eyes, were open, and I understood the whole beginning and the middle of this book. So now I have to figure out what rating I'm going to give it. I don't believe yesterday I fully updated, and I know I just did not go fully into what all I read. Last night, I continued. After I picked up this book, I actually read this book for 3.5 hours. I stopped at page 167. So then this morning, of course, I picked it up at 167 and ended at the book at 2:50. So I read for only an hour and a half this morning. So in total, I have read 17 hours. So we only have 7 hours left. But we have done 3 books. We have 7 hours left. This was my 60th book. I made my extra goal. My second goal I put on myself from 25 books, and then I raised it to 60, kinda. Made that goal. So I've read 60 books this year. It is December 31st. We only have, like 10 hours of the day left. Not even 10 whole hours of the day left. We did it! We did it! I'm so happy. Hello. It has been just a few days. And when I say a few days, I'm sorry. I really am. Sometimes my life happens and I don't get to read every single day. I will say one of those days, one of the multiple days it's been, my husband and I actually went out into the mountain for a few hours actually. I ended up filming all of the books I read in 2023 video. I also ended up getting like a couple family photos and just photos of my truck. My husband took some of me with my truck. So we just kind of spent a family day. We had like a little lunch out in the mountain, and that was one excuse. But more than anything, I think the day before we went out to the mountain, or the day that we went out to the mountain, my husband actually ended up asking me if it was all right if we went ahead and had photos done for our house so that we could go ahead and list it. The person that we're going through, like technically our realtor that we bought the house originally from, but we are now again going through him to sell our house. He actually had asked us if we could set up an appointment for like 10 a.m. the next morning, take some photos. It's been a very eventful couple days because we spent the next day, not even a full day, more like a day and some. We stayed up till like 2 a.m. and then I had to get up at like 5 a.m. and continue. We painted, we finished everything that we didn't get to because we thought we kind of had a little bit more time, more so like a few more days. We had to patch a couple things. That was like the major thing, was letting everything sit up after patching it and then kind of curing. We don't have like massive holes in the wall. That's why I had to get up early. I had to paint it early, do 2 coats of white paint since we painted the garage. It would have stuck out like a sore thumb. That very next day, 10 a.m., we had a photographer come by. We photographed every single room of our house. It's exciting because that means that we're moving. We already have our house listed, which is so exciting. I'm so glad to finally get to that. Last I updated, I had just finished We Were Liars. And I do believe, if I remember correctly, I kind of went over everything that I did in that day, how many hours I've read, how many pages I read. Well, in total of the 24 hours, we only have around 7 hours left, which is very exciting. It's pretty much one whole book. I think it will take me maybe just under 7 hours to finish this next book, which if that's the case, then I'll just say like, hey, that's 24 hours because I don't want to start a book and only get like 50 pages into it and then all of a sudden I have to end this video. The book that I'm going to read is actually The Girl on the Train. This is the next book. This is my final book for this video. I'm gonna see how much I get through because we are actually, I know I just talked about how we are busy, but we're actually going to box up a few more things, or take the boxes. There are actually a bunch of boxes in closets that we already had boxed up, and we are going to start taking those to the trailer. So I'm gonna try and read a lot today, but that's our main thing that we're gonna want to do is take a bunch of extra stuff. We kind of want to take all of that to the trailer. So I don't know how much I'm going to read today, but I'm hoping to get to 150. I'm hoping to get halfway through, because then that's like half of the time, 3-4 hours, pretty much, probably, maybe a little bit more. And then hopefully we can finish this book and be right around the 7-hour mark. That's my goal for today. Just got to page like 16, which is where it switches to Megan's point of view. So there's 2 POVs so far, it seems like, 2 different timelines as well. There's a 2013 timeline with Rachel and then a 2012 timeline with this Megan. And I just have to ask about this main character. Well, I'm gonna assume main character of Rachel. So pretty much she's on this train. Every day she goes from one piece of like London, I do believe, and then she passes her old house or somewhere she knows, and she goes back to like a workplace, and then she continues. Like, it's back and forth, all day, every single day to work. And pretty much she's always looking at this one house. There is like talk about her kind of living down the road. I think that was the premise of it. I think I read that, or maybe I seen something somewhere about that. For whatever reason, she's like stalking this house. Well, I don't know if it's like she's got a stalking problem or if she's just obsessed with this couple. There's, for whatever reason, every single day when the train has like, it breaks down, it stops, it's always by their house, and she's always watching them. Like, she can see into their house apparently from the train. Kind of confused, I think, in general on what the premise of this house is going to be. I mean, I'm only like 20 pages in, but it's just the whole continually talking about the same house, the same couple. She calls them Jess and Jake, Jess and James. I don't know. There's 2 J's. I can't remember the male's name, but she calls them 2 different ones. She made up a whole like life about them. She thinks she knows them just because she's created a whole thing. That's just my whole, like, I'm confused on what's going on, because it's only been talk about this house. She's pretty much only been on the train, and she's only been talking about this one house. I'm gonna do a little clip of me actually reading. I haven't done one of these in a while. I don't think I've done any in this video. Fitty 54. We're at a new, from the end of Rachel and beginning of Megan. We're getting the plot of Megan went missing, and so I guess that's how they're kind of connected, the 2. But I just want to say, around like 45 pages or so, I understand alcoholism. I got it. I understand more so than anything being an alcoholic, but not necessarily getting drunk. Like, it makes sense to me. Have a really good drinking tolerance. So basically you can drink like a whole case a day, never once get drunk. I understand that. That makes total sense. But this woman, Rachel, she to me is just disgusting when she's a drunk. She's absolutely disgusting. She's a whole nother person. We've already seen that so many different times in this book in 50 pages. And pretty much she's like, 1 minute, she's fine. If she's not drinking, then she's okay. She tries to make like good decisions. As soon as she's drunk, she makes ridiculous, terrible decisions. I'm not gonna spoil it, but basically she can't remember what happened. And it's not just like a couple hours of blackout, it's like 6+ hours of blackout. Like, it's a lot of blackout from being so insanely drunk, because she just doesn't know her limit, and she just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. And there is a little bit of her past life that affects her, but I feel like she isn't doing anything to try and help herself. Maybe in the rest of the book she'll turn around a lot more, but in this very like beginning, she is not trying to better herself. She is being ridiculous, and she's taking her alcoholism terribly far, where when she blacked out for multiple hours one night, of course, it also connects with the whole Megan timeline. And the other thing is, this Rachel girl came home. She shares a flat, I think is what it's called overseas. She shares basically like a duplex, an apartment, whatever you want to call it. Well, there was the one time she was so drunk, she went to go make meat. I think she was making steak. She ended up cutting her finger. Well, then she got so nauseated that she went to bed for hours. Left the meat there rotten on the counter. It started turning apparently brown. And I could just smell that, for one. Girl's boyfriend was sitting there saying how absolutely like disgusting and how much she's a slob. She didn't try to make it any better. She just kind of was like, oh, I mean, I'll get to it. I'll clean it when I get to it kind of attitude. And then this time when she was blackout drunk for so long, so many hours, she ended up coming back to their house or their like shared place. She doesn't remember anything. She was trying to find her keys and stuff. So she woke up, she went down the steps and realized that she had her purse. It was dumped out in the front steps. Her clothes, because she just went to bed naked. Clothes were in a pile by the door, but they weren't just in a dry pile. She basically used the bathroom in them and she left them all night. While Kathy was out staying the night with her boyfriend, those clothes sat on that floor smelling like that. And then she ended up turning around. She couldn't make it to the bathroom, or I don't know, better yet, out the front door where she could have thrown up in the grass. She threw up on the steps and then left it there and went to bed. So the very next morning, or like hours later, however long, Kathy ended up coming home and finding it and like walking into both of those smells. That's the level of disgusting that I don't know why, it's just like, it's making me very upset. Like, I get addictions can be difficult. I get not everybody understands them, but there's the part of me that like, it's just the lack of respect, even though this is a fictional book. It's the lack of respect and more so just like the disgustingness of it. Just clean up after yourself, just like the littlest things. It's so easy, so simple, just clean up after yourself. I'm finding it really hard for me to root for the main character because she's not a good person. When she tries to be, she can be, she's trying to help, but she's going about everything the wrong way. And I think that's where I'm having difficulty. I don't know, she just needs to have a turning around moment. If she has a turning around moment where she can get off the alcohol, or at least try to make a difference, if she can get out the alcohol, maybe I would enjoy this book a little bit more. She's just dragging it on though, I feel like. I'm sorry for my opinion. It's only 7:30 right now. I'm at page 137. A new point of view. We got introduced to a new point of view. Her name is Anna. She's actually, I don't want to spoil it, but basically she's living with Rachel's ex-husband. There you go. We've read for 3.5 hours. I only have 3.5 hours left, which is exciting. I'm very close to halfway. There's 323 pages of this whole book. I'm hoping tomorrow maybe I can finish. If not tomorrow, then definitely the next day. Rachel's starting to turn around. Don't get me wrong. There's a few slip-ups, but she's trying to drink less because she found her new like motivation, which is trying to help out Scott, Megan's husband, since Megan is missing. Megan is that other point of view, if that makes sense. But I'm kind of trying to help him out. She's definitely shooting herself in the foot, I feel like. And she's not being very smart about it or going about the whole situation properly. But I have to say, she's at least slowly coming around. She's definitely still not my favorite character or a good character in my opinion. Today I've been very busy. I mean, I kind of forgot to read, as stupid as that sounds. We are going to try and finish this tonight, actually, just like in the next couple hours. So yesterday, I actually ended up reading for 4 total hours. Yesterday I stopped at 196 and we only have till 323 pages left. So I'm gonna say it's like 150 pages basically. We're gonna try and finish this tonight. I just know it. Her ex-husband has something to do with it. He's connected. I just know it. It keeps like bugging me. What if I'm right? I think I keep thinking like this because not too many months ago I read The End of Her. I'm getting the same vibes with this book that I did with that book. I have like just over 50 pages left now. All of a sudden. Alright, I want to go ahead and finish up this video, wrap it all up, and also for this clip, sorry about any construction noise. Also, they are staring into my house right now, or any other noise inside of the house. I actually have the dishwasher running. Sadly, all of the books that I read in this video, besides The Girl on the Train, all of them are already packed up and thrown into our trailer that's like 15 plus miles away on base. So sadly, I cannot show you those. I was stupid and packed up every single bit, even though I still had this video left. I just packed up all my 2023 read books. The only things left out are my to-be read books, my physical TBR, that I just haven't tackled and has been sitting up on my bookcase. We started this video out mainly because I was kind of in a slump and I just wanted to try and get out of it, and I also wanted to try and hit 60 books read at the end of 2023. So we started out with The Woman Outside My Door by Rachel Ryan, and I have to say I enjoyed this book a lot. In my end of the year wrap up, I said how technically I rated it 3 stars, but looking back it's more of a high 3. It's like a 4-star book for me. It definitely was much better. I was just still in my slump. I was coming out, and it definitely helped me get out. And I loved how, for the most part, I definitely did not guess who the woman was, who technically the new granny was. It just kind of threw me a curveball because there's this big secret in the family that you don't know about until like you read. Of course, you get to it. So I enjoyed that book a lot. We then moved on to The Guest List by Lucy Foley. This I did rate 4 stars, and it was pretty decent. There was a lot of things that I seen coming. The ending to a point I didn't see coming. Like I kind of guessed that maybe the person who got killed was killed by this one person, but I wasn't 100% positive until, of course, it happened. Also, my son just joined me. He's got 2 cars, so he might be driving on the table, and you can probably hear them because they're metal. Yeah, pretty much. I did enjoy this. It was definitely a low 4-star book. I feel like, in a way, The Woman at My Door was just a little bit better. The guest list as well. The other thing that kind of bugged me was it was compared to Agatha Christie, and the book that kind of compares the most that I've at least read from Agatha Christie is And Then There Were None. And with that being said, I don't think that the guest list was anywhere near And Then There Were None, unless if it's a different book and I have the wrong book in my mind. The only thing that was like similar was a group of people were invited to an island. That was it. Agatha Christie's, they were invited into the island and everybody died, and you had to figure out who technically killed the last person and who killed the second to last person and everybody else. It was like a fun adventure with that book. Lucy Foley's, it kept getting compared to Agatha Christie, and in my mind I was just going back to And Then There Were None, and I just didn't like it as much because I didn't feel like it should have been compared. But I did enjoy the overall story of it. Of course, that's why I rated it 4 stars, and it definitely helped pull me out of my slump. And then our final book of 2023, my 60th book read, was actually We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. I rated this 3 stars. I wasn't sure how I wanted to rate it because the first half to like the middle was like a 2 stars. I just didn't connect to the character. I was kind of confused on what was going on. Even though it was a psychological thriller, I didn't understand how this would potentially be thrilling in any way. And then the ending happened and it was 4 stars there. I combined my 2 ratings of 2 stars from the beginning and 4 stars from the end, and of course came up with 3 stars. And it is a book that I would potentially recommend, but I feel like at a certain age group, because I feel like me in middle school, maybe even high school, would have enjoyed the book a lot more, but I also didn't have as developed reading taste as I do now. And I know technically with a whole nother year of reading, my reading taste is going to change yet again. Just the whole beginning part of We Were Liars, I just didn't care much for, and I almost thought to DNF it. I'm glad I didn't, just because I pushed through, I finished it. It was my 60th book. That's probably the main reason I pushed through. And then the ending was just actually really good, and it opened up my eyes to the whole beginning, and it just, every puzzle piece clicked. That's all I can really say about that book. And then finally, we just finished The Girl on the Train. I rated this one 3 stars. I did have a really good time reading this. It actually surprised me a little bit because I had it sitting on my shelf for so long. I thought it was not going to be good at all, and then I was actually intrigued, and there was a part of me that guessed who the murderer was long before it was announced. I was so excited about that because I felt like I solved a mystery. And this was our final book that I decided to read for the 24 hours. We basically finished just right before 24 hours was up by like a few minutes, so I went ahead and just counted it as 24 full hours. And yes, it did take me like a week to do this video just because, of course, with our house, packing up, having photos done, everything like that, we just got really busy. The only problem I feel like I really had with this book was more so the main character, and a lot of it gets basically talked about, or your eyes are kind of opened up a little bit at the end. The main character though, Rachel, she kind of in a way just disgusted me with some of the actions that she would do, and the constant drinking, and then she wouldn't remember some things, and just what she apparently did while she was blackout drunk. And I'm not saying she didn't do 100% of those things, but there were some things that no matter what she did do when she was drunk, and I just couldn't connect to her. She did have her turning around moment, and then there were a few times where I thought maybe something else would have happened with the main character and a certain person who was in her life, and then it turned out I was kind of on the right track, but for different reasons. And then when I guessed who the murderer was, and everything just made sense. I was wondering if it was going to end the way that I thought it was going to end, and then it just kept clicking and clicking. More things were getting revealed, and I was like, yes, this is definitely the person who killed this other person. This is it. This is the ending. And it turned out that it was right, and the whole time I felt like I was just like rooting then for the main character, so it made me feel really good. So in total for this video, we actually of course read for 24 hours. I finished 4 complete books. That was so good for me. I just feel like I accomplished my 60 books read in 2023, and I get to start out and finally, even though it's like the second week almost, but at least I got to finish 1 book in January already, and I have started another one. In total of those 4 books, I read 1,157 pages, which if I have to say, that's not bad at all. Thank you all so much for clicking on this video. I hope you guys all enjoyed the different types of thrillers that I got to throw into this video to try to get out of my slump. I feel like it worked. So thank you all again so much. I hope to see y'all in another video here on my channel or any playlist that might be linked down in the description. And God bless.